Hello there, lads and ladies. Welcome back, finally, to another manga review. Today we have the second continuation of the Kaiju Caramelise. Now, with the second volume, it's a little bit shorter than the first one, but honestly, I like it. I like how it's a short-based story meshed in with the Kaiju universe. And I also found out who this lass is. I believe her name is... I could not remember because it was like she had like one of those very long names, or to me it was long. It's Manatsu Tomosato. Now the difference there is that with Manatsu and Tomosato, Tomo and Sato basically are separate names meshed together basically. So to me it kind of sounds like I'm saying like a double-barreled name really with that. So from now on I'm just going to call her Tomo to like less confuse myself and less confuse the audience basically watching. And I believe the dog in the last volume, I think, was called Jumbo King, which is probably one of the weirdest names I've ever heard someone give their dog. I mean, I've heard of different ones, like strange ones, but that's got to easily take the cake, basically. So where we start off with the second volume is Koro basically asks Arata, or it might have been the other way around, yes. Arata basically tried to find Koro and asked her if they wanted to go to a theme park land, basically. Can't remember the name of the theme park land, but it's based somewhere off of Disney World or Disneyland Paris or wherever, basically. Never been to Disney World myself. My family has, but I've only been to Disneyland Paris. But that was about it, really. I enjoyed it most of the time, so obviously they'd probably enjoy it as well. Koro obviously is trying to keep her distance from Arata, mostly due to the fact that the emotions, obviously, as you do know, turn her into the Kaiju, basically. The issue is that Arata kind of takes this as kind of a sign of her ignoring him or her being overly nervous or something like that, which she is, of course. You know, she likes the guy, but she obviously can't tell him due to the circumstances that, you know, it's because I turn into a freaking monster when you like do things to me, like you make me feel things. You can't like outright say that. So obviously the poor guy is left there feeling despondent because he feels like that, you know, that he's kind of like forced himself upon her to make her this decision to come out with him to this theme park when he feels like she's not comfortable doing that, basically. And in this day and age, you know, it's, you know, kind of frowned upon to do stuff like that, like make someone feel uncomfortable, basically. Due to the fact that too many people are snowflakes in this day and age, really. It's kind of a shame, really, because I feel like, you know, if you're going to get hurt, then, you know, at least that means you cared, basically. Also, it's also the way, also the saying goes, basically. Like, the ones you hurt, the ones you hurt most are the ones that are closest to you, basically, which is kind of interesting, really. But, yeah, so what happens is she gets emotional because she's trying to like make him understand that it's not because she doesn't like him, and in being emotional like that, that causes her hand to turn into a claw, and then horns start to grow out of her head, and then the tail grows. She's trying to hide this. Arata sees it, unfortunately, and she thinks it's all over, so she just runs away from him into a restroom, and she's just spewing and stewing, like she's stewing in her head the unfortunate things that could happen from the situation. She might end up being taken away, or she might be tested on, basically. She doesn't like want to be like this, she just wants to be a normal girl. And this kind of leads her to just say F the world, F this place, and just go do lally and just destroy, basically. Because we've all had moments like that where we just like F this, you know. So she's just walking out in the crowd. Everyone's like reacting like, what the hell? What? She's got like a tail and claws and shit like that. Until she feels something grab her tail. She turns around and she's about to fling whatever's grabbing her tail like into the stratosphere when she finds out it's Alata holding her tail, and he's just like perplexed or something like that whilst holding it. And he like gives it a little squeeze and she looks at it like, what the fuck? But then she realizes it's him and it's like, oh god. And then she's trying to like explain to him the reason for why this is going on, basically. She's literally about to tell him the whole reason for why this happens. And then he somehow saves her by saying, ah, you're hardcore, aren't you? And she's like, what do you mean? he says, "Oh, this is cosplay, isn't it?" Cosplay, cosplay. And then she's literally parading herself around him by saying, "Yes, it's cosplay. It's cosplay. It's nothing, like, it's nothing bad, or it's cosplay." And everyone's like taking pictures and like cheering and all that shit. Even though before everyone was like screaming their heads off, and some guy apparently got like shot 15 feet into the into the Japanese Ocean. We're just gonna like ignore the fact that that happened, sure. And then they enjoy the rest of their day. Also, I did skip over one fact. There was this kind of a parody of Mickey Mouse following them around for most of the rides. There's even one section where it's like on the ride with them. It's actually Kuro's mum inside of the mascot outfit, just making sure that she's okay and that she doesn't like go doolally basically with her emotions. So the interesting thing with that is that you get the comedic aspect of the mother following her around, making sure she's all right. But it's also it's kind of funny due to the fact that, you know, like she knows that she can turn at any time, at any given moment. So we're basing the emotions from Kuro and Arata from a normal viewpoint, whilst we're getting the shock factor from the mother's point of view, because she knows that, oh god, like one little emotion she could be set off basically. And I didn't really tell the mother's name last time around because I completely forgot a bit about it. I believe her name is Rinko Akashi, I believe. Akashi, yeah. So it's actually believed that she's more than likely not her mother. Like, I might be giving away too much too soon, but there's like a belief or like a weird story that she might not actually be a mother. I'm not going to give too much of that away, but it's something to stew on for the next volume to keep you guys interested, because hell, this is actually a very good read, and I love the colour. Like, look at the art of this. I love the colour of this. The plateau of everything is so fantastic. Like, I know with what is it? With shoujo manga, they mostly focus on like facial expressions and like blushing and like big eyes, shiny eyes and stuff like that. It's a bit too well, it's not moe-esque because moe is quite cute, but this is a bit it's not overly done basically. That's kind of like why I don't really like read shoujo that much basically, due to the fact that it's just a bit too like some of the characters look a bit too the same basically half the time, you know, like with a pointed chin, even though she's got a pointed chin. It's not that predominant basically. Also, it's something different when you add like a freaking kaiju into a romance novel basically, so I can't complain. Also, speaking of the colour, there's this one bit where we actually get to see a small little instance of King Ghidorah, except this one's got two heads and Kuro's there in the middle basically. And Tomo's got purple hair, or violet-ish hair. I didn't know that. That's pretty interesting. And there's this nice little picture here as well, like with all the pastel purples and blues, and little Mothra here with Momo dressed as her. That's pretty cool. And it's this is like the Minnie Mouse little headband thing, kind of taken from Mickey World, or whatever you want to call it, or Wonderland basically. That's the small little thing, and there's her mum in the mascot outfit basically. It's a shame that this is mostly in black and white, because I'd love it when they do full colour in manga. Like, it's mostly for special occasions or special like volumes and stuff like that, but I feel like this book would be so much better if it was all in colour. But of course, with manga artists and all that, they're pressed for time, they don't have time to colour everything in. But like, I feel like once the whole volume is done, when you have the opportunity, go over it in colour. You are doing a big massive help for your manga and your work if you do it in colour, because it is so gorgeous with how many colours are used within one palette basically. So I think that would be quite a nice change really, if this ever gets completed basically. So I also kind of like the contrast between light and dark here with Koro and Orata, mostly due to the fact that she's angry here in the situation. Like, her rage is seeping through her. Like, this is why she doesn't really care whether she destroys the city or anything. And then there's Arata, who is basically the light in her life. He is her light, giving her the opportunity to express herself more positively basically. So it's funny how some people live their lives either in darkness or pure light, but you can't live in both, because if you live in darkness, then there's no light to help you see your way. But then if it's too lightful, and if there's too much light, then you're blinded by things, basically. So you need those two contrasting things. Yes, I'm a poet. There's also another section where they go to a rock concert after we meet the uncle of Kuro. I believe his name is Hinbo? I don't remember his name. I'm sorry, I'm just having to skim through again. Forgive me, because I should remember their names. It's just been a while since Yes, Himbino. Himbino, that's his name. It's a very weird name. Himbino, 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 no Himbino, Himbino. Sorry. With Hibino, he basically is a scientist who worked alongside Kuro's mother. They both were archaeologists, I believe. And that's more than likely how they got into like the kaiju business, because they both know of Kuro being a kaiju, basically. And obviously Kuro has a close relationship with Hibino because he's obviously seen her grow up, basically. So she's got another outlet to kind of talk about these things with others than her mother, because I feel like if you like exposit too much with one person, it can be a little bit overbearing. So I feel like you need an extra outlet, like with someone who's a little bit more like Hibino. Hibino's more he's like more outgoing, basically, where the mother is more protective of her, which is understandable because, you know, it's her daughter, she's going to protect her. But then, you know, she needs some freedom, otherwise she's just going to, all that emotion's going to build up and it's just going to go completely wacko. Which did happen at one moment in her life. Like, they do explain about her going full kaiju mode on this random island, which is kind of a hint to Monster Island in a certain sense, from like way back in the 1960s when Destroy All Monsters was a film. It was meant to be like the last film in the Showa era, but after like it did so well at the box office, they decided to just make more. Thank God for that, because without it, you know, like we wouldn't have been able to get the valuable universe of kaijus, basically, and I'm thankful for that. So they go to a rock concert, and Arata is low on change, especially after having to pay the whole theme park thing with Koro, so he takes up an opportunity to take up multiple jobs. And there's this one where he's a shirt salesman at the rock concert, where Koro is going with Hibino. He kind of has like this jealousy with Hibino, which is weird because she does let him know that he's her uncle, basically. But it kind of like, the jealousy thing doesn't come from the fact that they might be lovers, it's the fact that she gets on so well with him, and like she's laughing and like enjoying herself and stuff like that, whereas at the theme park she was kind of reserved, which is understandable because she likes the guy. But he kind of feels like he's been, he feels like she's not being herself with him, basically, which is understandable, but again, she can't give the full story of why she's like that, why she can be like that with her uncle and not get those emotions rising, because she obviously doesn't have feelings for her uncle. That'd be weird. But, you know, it's Japan, as you do. But she kind of has like this emotional thing happen where he kind of like questions her about it, and it gets her kind of riled up in a certain way, like where she's starting to feel like, oh no, I might lose him again. And then of course she starts that feeling, that transformation type thing coming on, so she has to run at the backstage, and Arata tries to chase her but is like cut off from the crowd, and behind the stage like this big kaiju of her comes. She basically transforms into Harugon again. And then there's panic, like the uncle's like, oh god, why here, why now? And like he's trying to tell Arata, look, you gotta run, you gotta fucking go now, like this thing could kill you, and Kuro wouldn't want that. Meanwhile, Arata is scared of for Kuro because she went backstage, and that's where the monster came from, basically. So he's like, oh god, what if like it stepped on her, what if it's killed her or something? So he runs backstage, he tries to get closer to her, but Hibino can't get to Mayu because the crowd is just like pushing and shoving, trying to get out of the way and all that stuff. And I think I can't quite remember what happened in the ending. I think, oh yeah, there's a section where Momo jumps out of a helicopter, like dressed as Mothra, and just jumps on Huragon. And it's just a very strange scene because everyone's looking at this like, what the fuck is she doing? What the fuck are you doing? Just literally like bungeeing in front of the freaking like kaiju. I can't remember if she swipes her away or not. I think yeah, helicopter flies through. Arata apparently is up in the helicopter with her. There's a moment where she like parachutes out, and then Arata falls out of the helicopter, and Huragon, there's a section where she forgets who she is, and the side of the kaiju kind of takes her over, and that's why she kind of attacks the helicopter and swipes at it, and then she realizes Arata's fallen from the helicopter, and that's where she comes back, like her senses come back to her, and she catches him. She kind of like stares at him for a few minutes or so, and then I think he says something along the lines of like, your eyes are pretty or something like that, which is kind of weird to say to a kaiju, which is understandable because like through the eyes you can see like heart shapes, which I wondered why she never was able to, why he was never able to connect the two basically, because through her you can see heart shapes. Like I don't know if that's for the like reader to see or if it's for him to see, but if he can spot that through the kaiju version, you think he'd be able to spot that through her eyes basically. But he's only looked into her eyes a couple of times, and even then, through those moments, she's been able to transform into the kaiju because of the eye contact. Eye contact can go a long way when it comes to relationships, trust me. And there's this scene where she's holding him, like, she thinks that he can't understand her, so she thinks, if I'm going to say it, this is the best time to say it. So she constantly says, I love you, like 15 or 16 times before being interrupted by a helicopter shooting missiles at her, because, you know, as you do and stuff like that. Then there's a section where she puts him down, and then she has to go away to transform back into a human. And I think the parrot, I think there's a tent. She's covered in a tent because obviously she's naked, as you do, basically. You know, clothes don't go with a kaiju, unfortunately, they're way too small. So she does have this moment where she kind of like feels like, okay, I've gotten some of the emotion out, so at least now I won't become like Huragon within the future thanks to me getting my emotions out in that moment as Huragon basically. But there are still instances where she still feels uncertain about the future due to the fact that she feels that, you know, that something like her couldn't have a future, basically, that they don't deserve happiness, which is bollocks. It doesn't matter who you are in life. If you have a standpoint, whether you're rich, poor, or whatever, everyone deserves love in one way, shape, or form, no matter what it is, basically, no matter your situation. And I've always believed that. And there's this lovely section where he kind of comforts her while she has the tent wrapped around her, and he kind of thanks her for like letting him basically be with her, basically, or something along those lines. It's kind of a very strange situation, basically, because it's obvious that they do like each other, but he kind of wanted it to be official, basically. He wants to like be proud about it. He wants to go around the town with her on his arm, basically. He wants to be like the proud man that she deserves, basically. So he officially asks her, like, I like you, will you go out with me? How it should be done, basically. Like, there should be, I feel like for a standing relationship to last, there has to be a moment of friendship, so then that can grow and into something better, basically. So there's some solidarity, so it's not just built on like, oh, you know, we had a one night stand or a drunken night and shit like that. You don't understand how often I hear that, how most relationships start like that. It's kind of no wonder why most of them fell apart, really. So it's always good to have a stable friendship before something like that happens, basically. And then it ends with Hibino basically seeing them, him confessing to her, like, will you go out with me? Obviously, she will more than likely agree to that. And Hibino is basically just calling someone on the phone, more than likely the government, to prepare how to handle the Huragan situation. Well, it might not be the government. I feel like it's a possible organization like Monarch was in King of the Monsters, basically, and like in Skull Island, where they might be a group of people that defend and protect kaijus or study them. I feel like he's working for that type of company, or unless it might probably come along the same. Like if this was me writing it, I would probably have him be a mercenary organization who captures kaiju to study them to then use for their own gains, whereas the mum is more than likely the archaeologist who would have worked for someone like Monarch. Like that's how I would write it. Don't like that's not canon. That's just me thinking like, oh, maybe I could write him like that. You know, maybe make him like a mercenary, like what they did in King of the Monsters, basically, just to keep things interesting, because like they have that family tie, but they're working for different companies, like against kaijus versus with kaijus, basically. You kind of would like add that nice little dynamic to it. But who knows? Maybe he might be, or maybe he's just on their side. You never know, really. But yeah, that was the second volume of Kaiju Go Caramelise. I hope you all enjoyed it very much. I'm a little late with it this afternoon. I can only apologise for that. I am getting prepared for the Six Nations to come around the corner. I can't wait. It's on tomorrow. It's going to be England versus Scotland in Murrayfield. We're away, unfortunately. It's going to be a tough game because at Murrayfield, they do so well, the Scottish at Murrayfield. I think we're tied currently. They've won 2, we've won 2, and we've drawed 1 before. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out, really. And I'll also be watching Wales versus Ireland on Sunday because Wales have unfortunately had some injuries to their players. So they more than likely won't be able to defend their Six Nations Cup this year. But it's Wales, so you never know. They're a very determined lot. And Ireland have just been destroying in the Autumn Nations lately. Also, you can't count out France. Italy, I'm afraid. Let's just hope they win. Let's just hope they win, because I would love to see Italy get a win. Don't let it be England. Anybody else? Not England. We're not to that point yet where we can like say that England is not a top 1 tier nation just yet. We're still there, goddammit. We're still ranked 3rd in the world, goddammit. And even our women are ranked 1st, so can't deny us that. We've earned our spots. We've bled for our trophies and all that. We've bled for our shirts. We've bled for our roses. Wear the rose with pride, boys and girls. Anyway, lads and ladies, thank you ever so much for watching. If you enjoyed, then maybe leave a like, subscribe. I enjoy it. And I like to talk with you guys. If you have any suggestions for other books that you'd like me to review or anything else in general, just come talk to me. I'd love the company. I'd like to have a chat or two. So, thank you all ever so much for watching. And next week, I'll probably either do a tattoo story time or try and finish off Konohana Kitan due to the fact that I only have 2 more volumes. So I'll try and get through that. Also, special announcement. I have 3 kaiju comics that I want to review. There's Godzilla Aftershock, there's Godzilla Dominion, and there is King Kong, or is it Kingdom Kong, I believe it's called. Some of them will go over the events of Godzilla before and after King of the Monsters, or at least before Godzilla 2014. And Kingdom Kong will be after the events of Skull Island. So we'll have quite a big Kong to contend with. And we'll be seeing quite a few more kaijus, and I'll be interesting to cover them, basically. I want to try and cover more kaiju content because with the Monsterverse finally being sealed with Toho and Legendary, we're going to get an awful lot more comics. There's a brand new TV series with Godzilla on Apple Plus. I'm definitely going to try and watch that. I'm definitely going to enjoy it, and I can't wait. It's going to be a good year for kaiju content. So, also, if you want good kaiju content, go subscribe to Dangerville, go subscribe to Goji Center, Altiori. They all do fantastic kaiju content. Altiori especially, because she does an awful lot of lovely POVs of certain characters from the kaiju universe, from Land Before Time and Jurassic Park. she's just an all-round like dinosaur and kaiju lover in general. Dangerville does fantastic like synopsises of films and stuff like that, and Kaiju, sorry, not Kaiju, Goji Center does an awful lot of like battle analysis, and he does like confrontations between like dinosaurs and kaiju and stuff like that. It's really freaking good. Like honestly, I'd like to see him do boxing analysis or MMA analysis, just so I can see like how those animations work with like humans and stuff like that, because the man does very good when it comes to analysis, even though I might, who knows, maybe he might be an MMA expert, or maybe he just enjoys analysis and stuff like that. Either way, they're all fantastic YouTubers when it comes to like the kaiju content and all that, even though most of it is based in the Monsterverse, and you know, some of them might not be like fans of olds, but I know that these guys definitely are true to like the old kaiju, like 1960 onward. Well, 1954 if you want to be more like a Godzilla fan, because from 1954 that's when he started to raise again to other films in general, basically. So they're solid golden kaiju content creators, basically. So go subscribe to them now. Do it now, or I'll hunt you down. All right, I've let this video go on long enough. Have yourselves a lovely, beautiful, fantastic day, and yeah, take care, my friends.